as somebody that led the Black Lives Matter movement when nobody in this town had the guts to do that, and as a, I'm going to check your skin real quick, a black man, black as the ace of spades over here, I want to know, when it comes to this issue of unity and progression and segregation, are we trying to be together? Are we trying to, mesh? Or are we trying to have our own rights? Because last time I checked, we did have our rights. And I like that you got in this conversation too, because I know that you're all about fair equality and fair justice for all. And nobody's gonna call you out on that, on not having that, because I know you are. And I know you are very vocal about that as well, and you're very knowledgeable about that as well. So what do you think people mean when they say, like, because you've had a conversation how you want to make black, and that might be taken a certain way. Like he was just saying, are we talking about unity, or are you trying to be superior? So I'm gonna start with you on this, and I want you to come back to this. Are you starting to think that it's not going as to plan when it comes to unity? Do you think they're trying to do separate things, and it might be bad?
In general, I would think so. But first, I'm going to start off by saying, racism in general is legally, defined by a group of individuals that's been oppressed by the government, obviously.
Of course.
You know what I mean? I think the biggest disconnect now are those individuals that say they're for it and say that they're for justice, And I can pull up my Facebook now, and on my timeline, you'll see a lot of, black individuals that will post these things. And my thing is, you'll post these things and not think about how it looks from an outsider looking in, that are very, I can't say racist because white people aren't oppressed, they've never been oppressed, they can't be, racist, but very, what's the other word for it? Older people use it, not racist, but there's another word for it.
Prejudice?
Prejudice,
okay.
Yeah. We'll just go with prejudice, that are very prejudiced, and I think that's where the disconnect happens. Because you have these people posting these things on Facebook, social justice warriors, whatever you want to call them, and then undercover, will send these things between one another or publicly backlash or outlash, whatever you want to say she did, which just totally catches me off guard because I feel like, somebody has to try to bridge a gap. That's what I try to do here in Panama City. Whether you're white or black, somebody has to step up and say, okay, like you posted the other day, somebody says the N-word, forgive them, move forward, educate them, do whatever you need to do. But I feel like somebody more likely at this point in time, just because not enough white people or other people trying to step up, that it's going to take those darker individuals to try to bridge the gap and be like, okay, you said the N-word. I forgive you for that. I know it's wrong. You know it's wrong. I'm going to educate you on why, but more so what I am going to judge you on are your actions and the things you do and not what you say.
Okay. Before I get to you, though, I wanted to ask you one more question. Do you think that organizations that kind of like the NAACP, any organization that caters to just one race is wrong when it comes to progression?
Yes and no. I feel like you have to, practice what you preach. If the NAACP is all about, black individuals and that's what they preach, then, so be it. But BET I've seen over the years gradually expand, have obviously white artists, rappers on there, and not solely catered just to saying, hey, if you're not black, you can't be here. Okay. So yes and no on that.
Gotcha. All right. So what are your comments on the questions I've asked him?
Well, like I said before, I watched the video too. I saw what she said, and at the same time, I feel like she did come off. I'm gonna say strong. There's nothing wrong with coming off strong or aggressive, but I feel like she kind of came off over the top with her point she was trying to make, so it couldn't get through. When it comes to an event like that, I don't truly have a problem because of the condition of how a lot of black people are in this country, and it's a mentality breakdown. And if you want to have an event, where you gather people like you together to motivate them to go out and motivate others, I have no problem with that, But this is the hypocrisy that I always have to talk about people is this. It's like, you bring her onto the show and you get mad at her or the whole entire group for not bringing in another race. But yet, how often do you bring in another race to an organization event that you do? How often do you open those doors up? How often do you go out there and seek others to come to, an event that you're doing? So for you to say that group is moving towards that direction, well, how can you open up that door, like he said, for progression and bringing people in when you have a meeting like this right here? Okay, how do you even know what the meeting was about? You didn't even ask her what the meeting was about or what the event was about. You went straight into, why didn't you invite us? And that was the problem I kind of had with the whole situation.
They may be, that was probably set up for failure, They probably picked an individual that was like that to fit the stereotype, But I feel like even if that was the case, she should have tried to prove them different.
She should.
You were at the rally, right?
Yeah.
And you remember that guy that spit on one of the girls?
Yeah.
And we were, I was in between them, and the whole thing is not to give into those stereotypes.
No.
People would test you a lot, trying to get you to give into it, and I felt like they picked the right individual for what they wanted.
Yeah.
That's true. I want to comment on something you kind of just said, though. I'm going to bring it back to like maybe the Republican type parties or even the election. I noticed when black people were invited to stuff like that, because they do get invited to stuff like that. I noticed it might have been for like, hey, look at my black friend. He agrees with us. Hey, we're not racist. I think it was more of a, this is my toy, and this is, look at this, and photo op. I think genuinely, like somebody would, like James would be invited to something of a black organization or a Black Lives Matter thing. I think it's more genuine. Yeah. And I'm not saying that white people are less genuine than black people. I'm talking about like certain groups. And we all know there's extremists in certain groups. And I could say that as well as to maybe extremists when you're talking about blacks. But I noticed that a little bit more when it came to like, I don't know, right type stuff. They will put their Negro out there and take a photo op with them, and it kind of bugs me. I grit my teeth a lot when I see that. But I real recognize real. I can tell when someone's being genuine or not. I kind of agree a lot with what you say though about the bridge, closing that bridge, and because. I don't know. This whole podcast is all about talking to someone you disagree with or getting to know somebody that you might not necessarily talk to on a daily. And I definitely love that you do that. Not many people like you would do that.
What's the second question?
My second question. Yeah. Do you think that? What was my second question? I'm sorry. Do you think organizations that cater to one type of race is a bad thing?
Like he pretty much said. Yes and no. I feel like
because people like to make that
start off. I feel like how it should start off with is a powerful movement. Yes, to uplift your people. Get them into a good stable mind that this is what you can. This is how you can define the odds. This is how you can beat the odds. This is how you can progress. And I feel like. Once you get that point, once you get your people to that point of not stereotyping everybody the way you were, push that agenda that don't loaf all white people together, because we're going to talk about later on that there is some that are racist, some that just ignorant, some that just really don't know.
Right.
Once you can kind of separate those two and educate those, then those that you have educated, bring them in and then show them.
Okay.
So
do you think the black community does a good job at that though? Because we obviously know.
I feel like a lot of times we are more welcome to opening up. Okay, we get angry, then we're more open to welcoming you in.
Okay.
And then trying, but then I feel like our downfall is that we don't have patience.
You're right
we
about
get
that.
frustrated because you're not getting it right away.
I think all groups, their initial intent on joining together is for a good purpose.
Yeah.
It just unfortunately the tone elevates to get to a point to where it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's with pretty much any well-known group in history
Yeah.
that's considered an extremist, you know, on the Klan side in Germany, the
Yeah.
Nazis, you know what I mean? And then, of course, from the research that I've done as far as the origins of the Black Panthers, that started out as a good point too,
Yeah.
but these are all known as now extremist groups. I will agree with them. You know, I feel more welcome around, you know, black people than I do white people. You know, I've said that before. But as of now, just individuals, like I was saying on my timeline, I know they don't represent everyone,
Yeah.
but at least 75% of them have a negative, somewhat, we'll say racist / prejudice undertone to the things that they post that come off that way to an outsider, you know, looking in. You know, I just always try to put the shoe on the other foot and ask myself, how would that person feel if I did that?
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
Like, I know y'all saw the meme about the black guy that had his eyes taped up or whatever and his nose and lips taped down. Or the girl that said, you know, I'm a white girl now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just things like that. I just try to...
And let me ask you something. I'm gonna ask you the same question in a second. Do you think there's a difference between racism and stupidity? Of course, they're cousins. They're very, very, very. They're related.
Yeah.
But do you think do you think someone that says something racist can 100% be a racist, or are they just saying something stupid that they might not be educated on? For example, for your answer, there's a bunch of old white conservatives at our church.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound ignorant, but whatever. I just assume every white person over 70 is just, they got their minds shaped a certain way because they grew up before segregation. They grew up around that. So they're learning what they were taught and stuff like that. That's why I don't 100% say that they are racist. I just think that they might sometimes say racist things, but I forgive them really quick because I know that environment they were before Martin Luther King came in the picture and stuff like that. So with that being said, the question again would be like, do you think a racist statement automatically makes you a racist, or do you think you might need to be educated a little bit to cure that racism that's in you?
It's easier to make a stupid man smart than it is to change a racist heart. And the reason why I say that is because if I sit down with an individual and I have a conversation with them, not even probably 5 minutes into that conversation, you can determine if that's a stupid man or a racist man.
Yeah, they'll bring up race real quick.
A lot.
Me and you had this, we were actually, I'll let you know in this story. Me and him were actually at his new apartments. We were at, me, him, and my girl, we were all chilling in the jacuzzi. And this old couple was just hanging out. They were really, really nice. And they were just talking out of nowhere. And you're like, yeah, well, he just started talking about black people. Out of nowhere. We weren't even talking about race. We weren't talking about politics. He just started, like, you know, you could tell, though, because he wasn't a racist man, but you could tell he didn't have a lot of training around black people. He wasn't around black people a lot. So he might have just didn't know how to approach us. So in that situation, I would not said that guy was racist, but man, he might need a little bit of education of how to talk to a human being, no matter what their race is. Same question, man. What do you think?
I feel so. It's more based off the things you do than what you say. You know what I mean? A lot of people say stuff when they get heated. Although I do feel, you know, some of the racist things most definitely cross the line. But definitely, I would say just give them an opportunity to educate them and talk to them. You know, maybe they just had a bad experience with the different, you know, race previous before, and they assume stereotypical things about, you know, everyone. So just base it off more so actions. 2 things I'll leave you with to do some research later. See who led the most mass incarceration to black people out of all the presidents, along with the most deportation on Muslims. And I feel that speaks volumes versus what people think about these individuals for what they actually did, you know, and they were presidents in our history. So definitely.
You mean to tell me that there was a president worse than Obama? Because I've heard he was the worst president of all time. Just kidding, man. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. That's some good stuff right there. I'll do your research, man. Don't take my word for any of that.